Hi, this is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts. I'm the host of the Marching Roundtable Podcast and the creator of MarchingArtsEducation.com. Thanks for being here at our YouTube channel. We hope you'll subscribe so you can see exclusive live interviews, plus excerpts from podcasts, webinars, and interviews from live events. This is really the best way to find out what you might want to go back to our website and see an entire conversation. Thanks for being here. We hope you'll subscribe to our channel.
Hello, everyone. My name is Geer, a band instructor in Powder Springs, Georgia, and I just got back from finishing my own DCI season with the Blue Devils this past summer, and I am here with both Tim and Tom Cox, who, as you can see, are identical twin brothers, but also band directors in Indiana. One is at Goshen, and then one is at Decatur Central, and we're just going to be talking about their experience not only as brothers being within the same industry as educators, but just how their programs are going. So whenever you are ready, either Mr. Tom or Mr. Tim, who would like to go first on giving some insight about yourselves?
I'm Tom Cox. I'm one of the director of bands at Goshen High School. This is year 30 overall for me, and year 23 at Goshen.
My name is Tim Cox, and I'm the director of bands at Decatur Central High School, year number 30 as well, and year 25 at Decatur Central High School. I spent 5 years previous at Pendleton Heights.
So Goshen and Decatur Central how close are they to each other?
Not very close. Tim's in Indy Tim's down in Indy by the airport. And Goshen, you'd have to be looking for it to know where it is. It's halfway between Fort Wayne and South Bend. So I'm at the very top of Indiana. We're probably, 2.5, 3 hours from each other?
Yeah, I'd say that's pretty close, 2.5, 3.
Okay, so you guys are within the same state, but not as close or as competitive within your band circuit, within your areas as much as I originally thought. But that's awesome, perfect. So you both have been in education for 30 plus years. Talk about the process and talk about the journey together within, how did you both discover band? How did you both were like, okay, we want to do this together? Like, talk about that. How was that process like?
Well, I guess I'll go first. That's all right, Tom. We both had incredible music experiences when we were growing up in middle school, not knowing it, but we had one of the icons of middle school band directing in Fort Wayne, Indiana, where we both grew up. And then we, of course, went to Fort Wayne Northrop High School together, where we were again taught by legends. We just didn't know it at the time. Barry Ashton was at Northrop, and then Kevin Klee, who was at Northrop for a long time, and then had his own program over at Snyder High School in Fort Wayne. And so we were just very fortunate to be blessed by that. And down the street, we didn't realize that we had a neighbor who was very involved in Interlochen, the National Arts Camp in northern Michigan. And she was a band mom, kind of a uniform mom at Fort Wayne Northrop, and got us kind of hooked into what Interlochen was and is, and eventually got us to go for a summer. So that's kind of our early background, and I'll turn it over to Tom.
Yeah, like Tim said, in middle school, we were the ones that were like, hey, we'll come this summer and help you sort music. And she's like, okay, great. And like, hey, I think I want to do this. And she'd tap us on our heads and go, isn't that nice? Yeah, okay. And then in high school, we kept, she'd come and help out with the marching band because the middle school band director did. And we said the same thing, hey, this might be something we want to do. And she would say, oh, isn't that nice? You guys, and then really we got kind of serious about it. And like Tim said, had great teachers that kind of helped us get along the way. And we went down to Ball State. Tim's a percussion major. I was a woodwind saxophone major. But we're still at Ball State. We actually roomed together, which everybody's like, really? You guys want to do that after spending all your time together? But he's my best friend. I have to worry about leaving my wallet out or, anything like that. So it made sense for us to, go to Ball State and live in the dorm together. And then, it all kind of went from there. We both, he drove me to my interviews and I drove him. I think I was in an automobile accident or something in my first interview. And he said, oh, I'll drive you there. And so we've just, always been connected that way. And still, maybe it's not daily, but I will say there's not a week that goes by that we don't talk. It's almost every day.
For sure.
That's kind of been our story the whole way through.
Yeah, so with being so close, obviously you guys are more than brothers, best friends in the same industry. Talk about, obviously you guys have your own programs. Do you still keep that connection when planning shows or discussing on how to progress each other? It seems like you both help each other out a lot.
Yeah,
I mean, Tim will find a great jazz chart and go, "Hey, don't play it this year," but maybe he'll pass me some good music, or if I'm playing a concert band piece that I'm really liking and the kids seem to be really digging into, I'll pass it along to him. Say, "Hey, you might want to look at this," or "Here's a great recording I found." We go to Midwest together and separate so that we could go to all the sessions, and then we come back together in the hotel room and like, "What'd you see? What'd you see?" And so, when it comes to like picking music and stuff like that, we're always talking to each other about great music we found.
and I will say too that being in the industry together, he and I can both kind of relate to, hey, what issues are you having? Are there administrative issues or budget issues or band booster issues or athletic director issues or whatever the case may be? And so having a person that's going through that same exact thing, and it's kind of scary. We could talk later about it, how similar our programs are. But just having a friend, a best friend that you can say, hey, I'm struggling with this and I can't get these administrators to understand why it's important to have this particular thing, or maybe this particular space, or this rehearsal room, and just being able to kind of bounce those frustrations off each other. And also, obviously, we're both married and kids, and being head band directors of pretty busy programs, how are you managing your personal life and your spiritual life and all those other things too? So.
Yeah. So within that, and being able to kind of piggyback off of each other and bounce ideas amongst each other, talk about your programs. I mean, Decatur Central is having a show. Goshen Band, I believe Goshen, and forgive me for not knowing Decatur Central, but Goshen, you guys are getting ready for Grand Nats, correct?
Yeah, actually, the Indie Super Regionals this weekend. Friday, we're going to go down and rehearse at Tim's school and sleep in his building. He's been gracious enough to help us out all that time. So I think both of us are going to the Indie Super Regional this weekend. And, his school is gracious enough to open up their band room and throw all the guys in there, and the girls sleep in the auditorium. And so, we talk a lot about that kind of stuff. And it's, Indie's kind of the band hub of the world. So when we're down there, we always have a place to go. And Tim's gracious enough to, make space for us. And he's got 15 groups asking for that space, but he is always kind of looking out for Goshen, which we really appreciate.
That's the perk right there. That's the perk.
No, that's true.
They can't say you're lying. They can't say you're lying that you guys are related either. So that's
right.
That's
I mean, it happens that way too when we're looking at winter drum lines and winter guards and all the various things that go on through the course of a program. But looking forward to being at Bands of America. We both perform on Friday. I think we have an 11:30 draw, and Tom's at like 4:30, I think. Is that right? So my band's going to go in, perform, pack the semi and the trucks, and then send the buses back. We're going to go back into the stadium and watch Goshen and cheer for them. So it should be pretty cool.
That's awesome. So now talk about your shows. I mean, I'm curious to know that when you guys are planning amongst your staff and show designers, I'm curious is it the same little layout that you guys kind of created about each other, or what is the Decatur Central show
about? So our show this year actually, like I think most good band directors do, kind of looking to elevate your group. That let's show what our strengths are. Let's see if we can hide a few of our weaknesses. And so we have a very, very strong percussion program here. And so our designer is Ryan Previs from Concord High School, and we've got some great staff around us as well. And so we're like, let's pick a show. I've got fortunate parents that love to build props. And so props have been a very busy part of our activity the past 5 or 10 years. And we've been very blessed with parent support there. So we have these giant hanging piano keys, like we call them piano walls, basically, because they're 16 foot by 12 foot. And so they have white keys and black keys, and the black keys actually swing back and forth so you can go through the piano keys. and have a key change. We have 9 of those around the field that they have their own drill, of course, but we can interact with them. We put our front ensemble on the field because they're carrying a lot of the actual piano work, and so we're doing some of that, and it's been a pretty good season. We've had our ups, we've had our downs, but we had a lot of fun doing this piano show.
Right.
For Goshen, I think we early on will say, hey, listen to this. What do you think? And what do you think? This is kind of what we're trying to think of for our show. We're fortunate enough to find Jason Robb this year and hook up with him. And he's been programming our show. And our show is city lights. So we've got stoplights that move around the field and a cityscape on these big 10-foot props that are pretty stationary once they get to where they're going. But yeah, we move our stoplights around. It's been a good year. We went to BOA Toledo and did really well. We're looking forward to being inside. We had our competition this past Saturday in a very windy Fort Wayne, Indiana, and looking forward to being inside. But it's always sunny and 72 inside. So we're really looking forward to that. Tim's gonna let us hang out at his place, practice for a little bit, and then we'll move over to Lucas Oil. So we're really looking forward to being inside, out of the elements, because today in Goshen, last night, I think we got an inch or two of snow, and it's always great practice weather here. So
yeah,
northern Indiana,
good old South Georgia, it is dry. It can't determine whether it wants to be hot today or cold today, and I'm fine with that. I don't do well with snow, so that is perfect. I'm glad that you guys are adjusting to that. Well, kind of picking back off of that, how do you adjust to those weather misfortunes sometimes, with snow days and you're looking at your wet ball and then it's like 100 and something degrees. That's like, how do you guys handle that?
I tell you, we patterned our room a lot off of Tim's room. Tim got a huge band room built before we did, but we sent pictures to our architects and it's like, here's the size of room we need. Look at Decatur Central. And so we're fortunate enough to have a big band room. And we don't have a field house or anything like that. So I'll tell you, last week was pretty brutal being out when it was 40 degrees and windy. And we couldn't use our props at our show because they'd blow over. Didn't want any kids to get injured. So, it's just always kind of that. I have a great staff. I've got to throw out Josh Kaufman's name because he's the co-director of bands here at Goshen, a master technician, rehearse. He's awesome. So we're great. We have some spaces to go when it's inside rehearsal time. So we can use the gym, the band room, the choir room, the orchestra room, the stage, so we can kind of get inside. The big thing is finding a place big enough for the guard to go. Because when it gets nasty in Goshen, the soccer team wants to come inside. And so, it's all that. So we don't have a field house, but it's kind of bundle up, 45 minutes in, 45 minutes out, 45 minutes in. Clean some drill, work on some music, clean some drill, work some music. That's how it kind of goes on a bad day up in northern Indiana.
Yeah, I'll say we're very much the same. We've been pretty fortunate this season. Like Tom was saying, it was very windy in Indiana. And last week, we had a couple prop injuries where we broke a frame or two. We put them out. We rehearsed with them because they're so integral to the show and how they move and things. And so we came back after lunch and they all had blown themselves all off the field. And so we cracked a couple frames and I had to call the band dads and say, hey, we need help. And they're like, yep, we'll get it fixed for you tonight. No worries. And same thing. So, but yeah, you just got to, conquer and divide. Luckily, I'm very blessed with a great staff too, and Adam Bess and middle school directors and percussion and guard staff that do a great job. And so we all realized that, we're going to have to just make it work when there's bad weather. And so I think we're going to be okay, though. I think by the time we get to Thursday, Friday, it's going to warm up again in Indiana. So we're blessed for that.
Yes.
That's right. And you guys are anticipating so when you talk about competing against each other, now, where does that, I don't really sense some very competitive nature, but you're best friends, but you're also brothers. So where does that, how does that competitive sense lie? Are you guys extremely competitive about one another, or?
Well, we made the joke a couple times. Had Tom been a percussion major, I probably would have broken his arm to get the advantage. But you He was in that woodwind world, and I was not. And so, but no, we're honestly cheering for each other. And it's, I've had a couple frustrations with a few of my parents, even in years. They're like, they want to make it into something that it's not. I know what the Goshen program is, and I know how hard Tom and Josh work and the staff. And so, I like to compare our program to his because they're just so great. You look at his wind ensemble and you're like, holy cow, they're playing grade 6 lit and, multiple winter guards and drum lines and the jazz program. So if I can hang anywhere close to Goshen, then I feel like I've done a pretty good job.
Well, and look at what behinds Tim. He's not doing so bad himself. He's done pretty well. He's got IPA championships and all that kind of stuff. So like Tim said, we're rooting for him. We've beaten Decatur. Decatur's beaten us. It kind of goes back and forth. I mean, I think, the best thing is getting to see the kids' reaction of like, oh, it's the other Mr. Cox. And, it's so, we're not really competitive for each other. I'm not out to beat him. He's not out to beat me. But, that's competition. We understand it. We've been there, a lot of times, and we've gotten the best of him and he's gotten the best of us. So it's fine. We're his number one fan. And like he said, it's awesome. He's going to bring in Decatur to cheer us on in the Dome when probably not a lot of our parents on a Friday can drive down to Indy. That's just our parents have got to work. We're in a great town. Goshen's awesome, but we're pretty blue collar. Family's got to work. They just can't take a day or two off to follow us around sometimes. So we're, it's great that Tim will bring his band in and we'll cheer for him too.
Right. Yep. And that's awesome to hear that, just such a support. Do you think that you guys support for each other laid off on your kids, where you guys can kind of see like, oh, Goshen drum major is like best friends with Decatur Central's drum major? Like, do you see any of that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Whenever we end up at, like, we go to the Purdue Jazz Festival, Tom and I are both big jazz guys, and so we're going to try to make our bands hear each other's bands, and they're always incredibly supportive. Or if we're at, winter drumline stuff, things like that. So I think the kids do get a big kick out of it. First of all, just seeing how he and I interact, and they, I do remember last year Tom brought the band down, and I think I put on a Goshen hat, and Tom put on my Decatur Silver hat just so we could mess with the kids, and that's great. I love it.
Yep.
I wish that was recorded so that I could see their like reactions, like,
it's funny. The staff will stand in the background and just watch because they love that time, because this is our first time for us to be able to see each other this coming weekend. Yeah. And, the staff just watch, and, Josh and I've been together. We've taught together now 17 years, and just to watch the freshmen go, wait, oh my, it's true. They weren't lying. So it's a lot of fun.
That is awesome. So is there any advice that you both may have for other inspiring educators or upcoming band directors when it comes to like sibling relationships within the industry?
Well, I think, a lot of it goes back to just how we were raised by our parents. It's family. And so it's always been family first. And I think, you have to be each other's fans. This is a hard job to do, just teaching in general. But then if you're going to run competitive programs like we do, you want to cheer for the kids and success, because that's really what it's about. Win or lose, whatever, that stuff doesn't matter. What's going to matter, as our good friend Joel Denton always says, is the heartware, right? So, what do the kids remember, and how hard did they have to work, and where did that get them, and then what did they learn about themselves along the way? And so I think that, if you can always think about those things, whether you're siblings or not, then your kids and your program are going to be successful.
And I think it's important to have someone, even if it's not a sibling, it's a friend. Doesn't have to be in the same city now with, all of our web services that we have. Someone to talk to, someone to go, man, here's my problem. What do you think I should do? I'm fortunate that I have, like Josh Kaufman and the middle school band staff and all that. I have a 77-year-old band director on my staff that has seen everything and done everything. And, so I think it's important to have someone that you can call and talk to. And for me, that's Tim. But for other people in the business, you got to have that. We both have taught in places that were pretty remote, or like even now, we don't really live close to one another. We can't get together at B-dubs and hang out. but you can call and you can talk and, share your problems, or ideas, music selection, any of that kind of stuff. So, I think it's important to have friends in the business and be able to talk to them candidly, honestly. There's nothing that I ever hide from Tim, and the same way from him. So you can really ask those questions. I think it's, really important just to have someone that you can trust and talk to.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, definitely having a good support system for whomever, no matter what industry. I mean, for real, like it is something good, and it's so great to see that you two have just such a close bond and really just represent just great, authentic education on representing, the marching arts, you both as family, and then as individuals as well. It's just awesome to see. But other than that, my name is Geer. On behalf of the Marching Roundtable, I bring to you Mr. Tim Cox and Mr. Tom Cox, who are band instructors, one at Decatur Central and the other one at Goshen, where they are about to compete this Friday or this Saturday?
Friday for sure. We'll cross our fingers on Saturday.
Friday, hopefully. Maybe Saturday due to weather, but they will get a chance to see each other and still, resemble what is great about marching arts education. So if you would like, definitely feel free to follow us on all of our social media platforms, and then visit our website so that you can get the inside scoop from their programs. So it's wonderful to see you guys, and thank you so much for having us.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Sign up for a membership to Marching Arts Education to get complete access to all webinars, videos, and podcasts, plus discounts on coursework. Many directors are using professional development funds through their school or boosters to make these resources available to their staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com.